don't rush sex. And I'm saying this from experience because I completely messed this up when I was your age. And it took me years to undo the damage I did to myself. I was 18, felt like absolute garbage about being a virgin while all my friends were talking about their experiences, and I basically decided I was going to force the situation no matter what. I went to a party, got way too drunk, and ended up hooking up with someone I barely knew just because I wanted to get it over with. The whole thing was awkward, uncomfortable, and honestly pretty terrible for both of us. But here's the part that really messed me up. I thought that would fix everything. I thought losing my virginity would suddenly make me confident, would make me feel like I belonged, would solve all my social anxiety. Instead, it made everything worse. I felt empty afterward, like I'd cheapened something that should have been meaningful. I started having casual hookups thinking each one would make me feel better, but I was just using sex as a way to avoid dealing with my actual problems. It took me months of feeling like garbage and eventually talking to a therapist to realize what I had done. I'd turned sex into this thing I was chasing to validate myself instead of working on the real issues: my social anxiety, my self-esteem, my complete inability to form genuine connections with people. I was so focused on losing my virginity that I never learned how to actually connect with someone I cared about. So when people ask me what to do if you're a virgin, my first answer is always, don't do what I did. Don't rush into it just because you feel like you're behind some imaginary timeline. Now look, I'm not about to give you the typical, everything's perfectly fine, don't worry about it speech, because that's not always honest, and you deserve better than empty reassurance. The reality is more complicated than that. Being a virgin at 17, 18, even 22 is completely normal. Way more normal than social media and movies make it seem. But if it's something that's genuinely bothering you, if it's affecting your confidence or making you feel isolated, then we need to talk about it honestly instead of just pretending it doesn't matter. Here's what I wish someone had told me. Sex is basically just another goal in life. Think about it like any other achievement you're working toward. Maybe you want to hit diamond rank in your favorite game. Maybe you want to build an amazing PC setup. Maybe you want to start streaming or get into a good college. You have goals, right? So when it comes to sex and relationships, you need to ask yourself the same questions you'd ask about any goal you haven't achieved yet. Why haven't you reached this goal? Is it because you're genuinely not interested right now? Because you're focusing your energy on other priorities? Because you have personal values that make you want to wait for the right person? All of those are completely valid reasons, and if that's where you're at, then honestly, you're probably more mature than most people your age. But let's be real about the other possibility. Maybe you want to have sex, maybe you want to be in a relationship, but something's preventing you from getting there. And this is where you need to get brutally honest with yourself because nobody else is going to do this work for you. Maybe you're spending so much time gaming that you're not developing real-world social skills. Maybe you're using online communities as a substitute for face-to-face interaction. Maybe you've got social anxiety that you're avoiding instead of addressing. Maybe you don't know how to talk to people you're attracted to. Maybe you're not taking care of yourself physically or mentally in ways that would make you attractive to others. None of these are character flaws, by the way. They're just areas where you haven't developed skills yet. Just like you weren't born knowing how to aim or execute combos, you weren't born knowing how to navigate attraction and relationships. The difference is that most people don't talk openly about learning these skills the way they do about getting better at games. Here's the thing that really matters. There's a huge difference between being a virgin because you're actively choosing to focus on other things and being a virgin because you feel stuck or inadequate. Both situations are normal, but they require completely different approaches. If you're genuinely not interested in sex right now, if you're focused on school or your career or personal development, then stop letting other people's expectations pressure you. You're playing your own game at your own pace. Focus on becoming the person you want to be, and when you're ready to prioritize dating, you'll be in a much stronger position. But if you're in the second category, if you want to have sex and relationships but feel like you don't know how to get there, then it's time to treat this like any other skill you want to master. Start putting yourself in social situations even if they're uncomfortable. Work on your conversation skills. Take better care of your physical and mental health. Maybe talk to a therapist if anxiety or depression is holding you back. And here's something crucial. Figure out what you actually want. Do you want casual hookups or are you looking for a meaningful relationship? Because those require different approaches and being clear about your goals will help you make better decisions. The mistake I made was thinking that losing my virginity would somehow fix my underlying problems with confidence and social connection. It doesn't work that way. The qualities that make someone genuinely attractive, confidence, emotional intelligence, the ability to connect with others authentically. These are things you develop through practice and self-work, not through having sex. When you start working on yourself with real intentionality, something interesting happens. The whole sex thing often resolves itself naturally. It's like how when you focus on improving your fundamentals in a game, your rank climbs without you having to force it. You become more confident, more socially skilled, more emotionally mature, and suddenly you're the kind of person others want to be around. Look, don't rush into sex because you think you should or because you're trying to prove something to yourself or others. But also, don't use "I'm not rushing" as an excuse to avoid honest self-reflection about what you want and what might be holding you back. Be real about your goals. Be real about what's preventing you from achieving them. Then approach it like any other challenge you want to overcome. You've learned harder things than this. You've got this.